right, so the question is how to trail a stop loss 1 tick for every 2 ticks in profit. Now this is kind of a reverse way of thinking for stop losses. Typically, people tighten their stop loss as more profit is made. Right, so typically, people would want to tighten their stop loss 2 ticks for every 1 tick in profit. Once a certain amount of profit's made. But this question is kind of counterintuitive to most ways that people trail their stop loss. So it's kind of an interesting question. So, and granted, the thought that went into BlackBird's design really it wasn't designed to kind of widen your stop losses, since that is since that's I guess not a common practice, for trailing stop losses. So, but it is possible, and I'll show you how to do that. So, all right, let's get BlackBird up and running on the chart. There we go. So, all right, and we can see we have we already have a file left in BlackBird from last week. So we'll get this open and we'll clear it out. So there's a nice little clear button there. Clear that out. Okay. All right. Well, the question focuses primarily on a stop loss. So I'm going to leave the profit target blank, and we'll just focus on the stop loss here. All right. Well, we had to start with some kind of stop loss. Here. I'll just start with just a simple 10 tick fixed stop loss as our starting point. All right, so that's our initial placement. So initially the stop loss is going to go on as a 10 tick, right? And then we'll go into the trailing actions here. And in the trailing actions, this is where we'll define the 1 tick trailing for every 2 ticks in profit here. So we're going to set the mode to custom, right? So that kind of turns on the trailing stop loss components here, and we'll add a new trailing roll. All right, so let's see here, and I'm gonna make a slight modification to this as well here. So that, the question that came in didn't ask anything about a break even, but we'll add a break even to this here in a little bit. So, but for now, let's see here. So we'll design this with just a trailing without a break even, and then I'll add a break even to it afterwards. All right. Let's see here. So some kind of name. All right. So we're going to trail 1 tick per 2 ticks in profit. So, all right. So, the way the question was asked, there's really not going to be any delay in the trailing. So the trailing is just going to start. Stop loss will just start trailing immediately as soon as we get some profit. So we'll leave the initial delay blank. There's no trigger or nothing, right? This is just a plain Jane kind of trailing here. So no delay and no trigger, so we can just move straight to the action part, and this is the key right here. So normally when you're setting up a trailing rule, normally you're trailing from the last price, right? So as the market moves up, that every tick up that the market moves, which is the last price, is the market price, right? So as price moves up in real time, right, that's what bases your trailing stop losses is the market moving up in real time. So normally you're basing your stop loss off of the last price, and right. So if you wanted to keep a fixed 10 tick trailing stop loss, you would simply just put negative 10 ticks in there, so it's negative 10 ticks off of the last price. But this kind of has a unique component to it. So the way we can do 1 tick for every 2 ticks in profit is we can grab the orders price, right? So we're going to take the current order price, right, and order price. So in this case, since we're working underneath the stop loss order, right, that's going to be the stop loss price. So we're going to take the current stop loss price, and actually we're going to add a tick this time, right? So we're adding 1 tick to the current order's price. So that's how we're able to get this 1 tick movement in the stop loss, right? And then the second part is, for every 2 ticks in profit, that can be controlled under the repeat. So trailing stop losses, they repeat indefinitely for the most part. And so you'll notice we have a repeat every section here, so we can control when this stop loss trailing gets repeated. And in this case, we want the stop loss to update in real time on a tick by tick basis, right? So we want to do ticks in direction. So ticks in direction means when price moves in the direction of the trade, right? So if we're in a long trade, right, this means so when the market moves upward in the direction of a long trade, those are the tick movements of price that we're interested in. So for every tick that the market moves in the direction of the trade, that's what's going to trigger moving the stop loss, trailing the stop loss. But this time we're going to wait every 2 ticks. All right, so whenever the market moves 2 ticks, basically in profit or in the direction of the trade, that's our repeat mechanism here. So every time the market moves 2 ticks in profit, then the stop loss will keep adding, it'll add 1 tick to the stop loss's price. All right, so there's the simple rule. So we'll take this and we'll do a quick little test here. So let's just click OK. And we'll do a little test, and let's see here. We'll go long, and we'll move the market up. There we go. So 2 ticks, and the stop loss just moved up 1, and there was 4. It moved up again. And now when we hit 6 ticks in profit, that stop loss will move again. There we go. Let me move the market up a little faster. Taking a little longer than expected. There we go. 10 ticks was just hit. All right, so there we go. Slowly, so the market's going to keep moving away. The further the market moves away, this, basically the slower the stop loss is going to keep going there. So, all right. So there's that, our little test. And now for the second part, let's add a break-even component to this. All right, so we're going to add another trailing rule here, and let's do a break-even plus 1 we'll do at 10 ticks. All right, so when we get 10 ticks in profit, we'll move the order to break-even plus 1. So, and then start trailing 1 tick for every 2 ticks in profit. All right, so break even is pretty simple. So we're going to use a delay here. So right, we're going to do ticks in direction. So once we get 10 ticks, 10 ticks of profit right in the direction of the trade, that's going to be our delay. So once that delay is met, then we need to move our stop loss. So we're going to move our stop loss. So break even is just another way of saying the entry price, right? The entry price is break even. So we're going to want to move our stop loss to the entry price, and then we want a plus 1 on that break even. So we'll just put a positive 1 in the long side there. All right, and that's all there is to do for a break even, right? Break evens don't repeat, right? You can only move to break even once. So we'll just leave the repeat to none there. And that's our break even, right? Now, since we have a break even that's waiting, for 10 ticks in profit, our trailing rule also needs to have a delay now, right? So let's see. So we're gonna do a little bit of math here, right? So if we're gonna move our stop loss to break even, plus 1, essentially that is that stop loss has moved 11 ticks, and well, I guess this is an arbitrary decision. Do you want, this is kind of a personal decision on the traders, for the trader, but does the trader want the trailing of 1 tick per 2 ticks in profit? Do they want that to start immediately after the break even, or do you want to give the market, or do you want to allow the market to move, even further before the trailing kicks in? Those are kind of personal decisions, but for this example, I'll just say that once the market has gained 14 ticks in profit, right? So I'm going to take 10 ticks and add 2 ticks, right? Because remember, we're trailing every 2 ticks in profit. So I'm taking 10 ticks and I'm adding 2 ticks, which essentially is kind of like taking in account for the break even, for the plus 1 of the break even, right? So the plus 1, so I'm just going to wait for 12 ticks in profit to account for the plus 1 in our break even. And and then I'm going to add another 2 ticks because it's 2 ticks after that we'll start trailing again. So I've added 2 ticks to account for the break even, and then added another 2 ticks because that's when the trailing is actually going to start. That's when the trailing needs to start happening. So, all right. So, but this decision here of when to start the trailing is just purely arbitrary. I could be overthinking it a little bit, but just you can decide whenever you want the trailing to start kicking in here. So, all right. So there's our delays. Again, let's see. No trigger. The action, right? The action is already set up for us, right? So we're taking the order price and then adding 1 tick to it, and the repeat is also set up for us. So we're good to go. All we had to do is just add a delay into the trailing there. All right, so let's give this a test here. All right, let's go long again. All right, now I'm going to move the market up a little faster this time so we can get to that 10 ticks in profit and watch that break even +1 occur. There we go. There's the break even +1. And now once we get to 14 ticks in profit, our stop loss will start moving up every tick. There it was, and we just hit 16 ticks, and we'll probably get 18. There's 18, 19. As soon as we hit 20, the stop loss should move up again. There we go. I'll just move the market up a little quicker. All right, and up it goes. All right, so from out of yesterday's BloodHound workshop, this question here for BlackBird kind of evolved, which was, how to exit a trade on a specific day and time. And, this kind of question would be primarily useful for oil traders. So for example, whenever the weekly crude inventory report comes out, right? The government weekly report, whenever that comes out. So that comes out every Wednesday at 10:30 Eastern time. All right. So yesterday we built a BloodHound signal to exit at that time of day. So so let's set something up here. So let's see. I've already kind of I had a BloodHound signal started there. So let's get this started again, and let's load up yesterday's workshop file. There it is. And so we had this exit signal here. So we had set up this exit signal for Wednesday at 9:55, and I guess that would be Eastern time. So that'd be like closing out the trade about, I think, a half an hour before the oil inventory report comes out. So you can definitely adjust the time here, to exit any kind of trade, whenever you want. But the point being, this is a way that you can specify an exit condition in BlackBird on a specific day of the week and time. of that day, right? So basically, we're going to use a BloodHound exit signal, and let's see, click OK, and in this case, we're not going to use an entry signal. We're just going to use the exit signal. And pick the wrong one. There we go. Exit signal on Wednesday at 9:55. So we'll just set this exit signal up there, right? And that's all there is to it. And if we wanted, if you want, you could set up another BloodHound signal component, and let's let me just use my crossover test here, guy. Let's say I guess the point being, you can load up as many BloodHound templates as you want in BlackBird. There's no limit on that, right? So I can take entry signals from from a totally different BloodHound template, right? I can take entry signals from one BloodHound template, and then I can take exit signals from a different BloodHound template, right? So you can mix and match as much as you want, right? And then we can see I can keep adding, more and more BloodHound templates, as you see fit. So let's see here. Yeah, I guess let me just create a quick order set here. Like so. Yeah, just click OK. Let's turn the auto trader on. Don't forget to turn the auto trader on if you don't have it turned on automatically. And let's see, I think if I just pull the market down, that should generate a short signal, I believe. And there we go. So you'll notice how, right, we don't see BloodHound on the chart, right? So one thing to keep in mind is that, right, when you're adding BloodHound signals, there's no way to add BloodHound to the chart instantly, right? NinjaTrader does require a refresh in order to get the BloodHound signals to load up on the chart, right? So once you've added your BloodHound templates to BlackBird, then if you want to see BloodHound on the chart, then what we need to do is make sure that you're flat first. Make sure that your strategy's flat first. Otherwise BlackBird will lose its connection to the orders that are open, right? So never reload your chart when BlackBird has an order open. Always make sure that BlackBird's flat before you ever reload the chart. All right, because otherwise NinjaTrader will lose the connection between the orders and BlackBird. So, all right. So anyways, now that we're flat, now we can reload the chart, right? Ninja's going to give you this little warning here because of that, because of that disconnection between, any orders that may be open, right? So that's why Ninja gives you this little warning here. All right, and there is our BloodHounds. So we could put our exit signals on one and show our trade signals on the other. There we go. All right. So, and I guess just to kind of expand upon this, let's say you weren't, let's say you weren't interested in seeing the BloodHound exit signals on here. And what we could do is we could go in here, and remember this was the BloodHound that had the exit signals, and we could just say turn off the show on chart. So, and that'll remove this BloodHound template from the chart if we do that. So do that, click OK. And again, if you want to add or remove, indicators to your chart, the only way we can do that is to reload the chart again, right? And of course, just make sure that BlackBird's flat before you reload your chart. So let's reload it. And there we go. Now we're just down to the one BloodHound for our entry signals there. Okay, yeah, so Bernard's asking, can I explain how the global money management works? Yeah, you bet. All right, so let me clear the slate here. There we go. All right, so under money management, let's see here. What Bernard's asking about is the the P&L calculation mode, right? So there's two different modes here. There's individual mode, right? Now this is NinjaTrader's standard kind of mode of operation here. The way NinjaTrader designed strategies to work is, they only can keep track of their own profits and losses, P&Ls. But we have found a way to kind of keep track of each BlackBird's profit and losses and then add them together. So BlackBird, as far as we know, BlackBird's the only strategy on NinjaTrader that has this group mode. So if you're running multiple instruments of BlackBird, you can have them add their profits and losses together. So you can, right? So let's say, let's say, I guess a practical example would be, I gotta close that out here. So if we go to our strategies tab, right, you can have multiple BlackBirds running on different instruments. So let's say you're trading oil and gold and the ES, right? So you can have BlackBird add your profits and losses together for all three instruments. So that way you'll get a grand total of your profits and losses, that affect your account. So for example, if you go to your accounts tab, right, you would see you'll see a grand total P&L, for all trading that have affected your account, right? So if you have multiple strategies running, the standard way that, or I should say, with NinjaTrader, really the way that NinjaTrader was designed, I guess that's a better way of saying it. Yeah, the way that NinjaTrader was designed was that, if you had multiple strategies running, the only way you could see, the accumulated profits and losses was to go to your accounts tab and, look at the realized P&L. So you couldn't, right, yet when you're on the strategies tab, you can see that there's no grand total, for all running strategies, right? There's no kind of like accumulative total here. So, but with BlackBird, we have managed to build a cumulative total for all the Blackbirds that are running, but all the Blackbirds must be running in group mode, right? And you can mix and match. So, you could have 3 Blackbirds running in group mode, and then you could have a 4th Blackbird running in individual mode, right? And so any Blackbird running in individual mode is just that, right? Only the Blackbirds running in group mode will have their profits and losses added together, right? So if you leave one of your Blackbirds, out of group mode, then it will not be included in group mode. So, right. So basically, just group mode just allows you to, take your accumulative profits and losses and have it applied to your money management rules. So, right. So, each Blackbird can have different money management values in here. So like on oil, I could tell Blackbird running on oil, stop trading after we have a total of, $500 in profit, or stop trading, whatever, if we've lost $300 in profits. Right, so I could have Blackbird on oil with these settings, but then the Blackbird that could be running on gold, it can have different money management rules. So you can change that all up if wanted to. I would say that's probably not a typical way someone would want to set their money management rules up. I would say that it makes more sense that all your Blackbirds running in group mode, that they all have the exact same money management rules, right? That's going to be I think that's going to be the typical way most people are going to use, right, the money management in group mode. It's definitely a lot easier to understand, right? So, all right. So I'll just kind of leave it at that and see if you have any other further questions on that, Bernard. So let's see. All right. So Bernard's asking, is it limited within one workspace, or does it go beyond workspaces? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not actually sure, Bernard. I'd have to ask the programmer to see if he knows. I'll take a guess at it. My guess is that workspaces would not affect it. Knowing the way workspaces operate, and kind of knowing knowing a little bit about how we were able to accomplish the group mode with Blackbird, I would assume that group mode would operate across workspaces. Yeah, I guess we'd need to do some testing here. Definitely do some testing to know that answer for sure, and then we can put that up on the documentation. Once we find that answer out, just to be sure. So Bernard, you can check in with support. You can email us, and check in next week. to see what our testing has revealed. Or what you could also do is, once we get that testing done, is we'll definitely add that to the documentation as well, right? So if we go to BlackBird's documentation, let's see, we want to go to the management section here, right? The management buttons. And if we scroll down, let's see, money management. Here we go, the P&L calculation mode, and we'll add that here. So, yeah, the documentation does not mention workspaces. Yeah, so we can add that clarification to the text here. So, all right, let me see what else you got there, Bernard. Yeah, all right, you bet. Let's see what Bob's got. Looks like you've got a comment here. Yeah, right. So Bob's just got a comment about Top Step Trader. Yeah, right. Yeah, that global mode definitely would make it easier to stay within their daily max losses and whatever kind of daily requirements Top Step has for their traders. Yeah, that global mode will make it easier to make sure that your strategy's not breaking the bank or not violating their requirements. Yeah. Yeah. So Bernard's asking, is there a limit to the number of? I would rephrase your question to say, is there a limit to the number of active strategies that you can run in NinjaTrader? And no. Let's see. Yeah, let me click OK. No, Ninja has not placed any limit on how many strategies can be running at the same time. The only limitation is your hardware, right? The only limitation is the speed of your computer, right? The speed of your CPU, right? Can your CPU, run fast enough to keep, to make sure that, all the Blackbirds are running efficiently. So, yeah, there's no software limitation in NinjaTrader. It's all hardware-based limitations. So, yeah, so with Ninja 7, there definitely are going to be some limits. But it's the limit to the number of Blackbirds that you can have running or Ravens that you can have running. It's a compilation of everything that NinjaTrader's running. So so like if you were just running Blackbird without a chart, let's say you were just running Blackbird, inside of NinjaTrader, right, without any kind of chart. Right, you can let's see here. Let me just get this turned on. Let's see, as this interface looks a little different when you're running a strategy without a chart. And there we go. All right, so there's a Blackbird running on the NQ. Turn it on. Right, so you can run strategies basically just in the background inside of NinjaTrader. And if you're going to do that, obviously that takes far, far less resources. So, you could probably run twice as many Blackbirds in the background, without a chart. So if you don't have charts open, and you just have strategies running, you could probably run twice as many strategies, in the background. But when you've got a bunch of charts open, with indicators running on those charts, and then your BlackBird and your BloodHounds and, all that computation requirements all add up. So that's really what becomes the limitation, within NinjaTrader as to how many Blackbirds and BloodHounds and whatnot that you can run. It all depends on how many charts and all the other indicators that you have open and running, and even workspaces that you have opened in the background. Those all require computations, as well. So you got to take the grand total of everything that NinjaTrader's running, whether it's running it in the background or in the foreground. You got to add it all up, and that's what sets the limits of how many Blackbirds you could have up running. We'll wrap this up. All right, have a good weekend, and again, keep your questions coming for these workshops. I appreciate it. Okay, guys, bye-bye.